Why am I sitting on a countertop in my kitchen? I think it'll be fun and cool to sit on the countertop. Hi, it's me, Heebie. Welcome and welcome back to my channel. I haven't been uploading as frequently lately because I've been struggling to incorporate YouTube stuff into my schedule. I'm also working on something kind of big on the side right now. It's just been a lot going on. Anyways, today I want to just chat with you guys. Because of my day in the life of UX designer and how I became a UX designer video, I've gotten quite a few questions about UX design career and the job hunting process. So I want to take that time to answer some of that question, and hopefully these questions will help anyone else who have similar type questions. Let's get started. So the first question is, do you have any specific part of your job that you like the most? Yes, I do have a favorite part. So my favorite part is actually the ideation process. I love coming up with new ideas and trying to creatively solve a problem. And I think that's actually where I have the most creative juice. So I really enjoy that process. My second favorite part would be prototyping wireframe phase, because that's when I really get to make my ideas from the ideation phase to come to life. The next question is, what is your least favorite part about your job? So I think all jobs have things that you don't like as much. And I feel like for me, my least favorite part about UX design is that because it's relatively new, sometimes you have to always advocate for UX design and always defend your decisions. I mean, I would say you have to defend your decisions in most jobs, but I feel like especially in UX design, a lot of time it's spent convincing people that UX is valuable, especially if you're at a relatively new company where they haven't established a UX process or have a director of UX that is part of sits at the table with the leadership and have a voice. I have experienced that in the past where you have to constantly defend why we need to go through the UX process. Why do we have to spend some extra time doing the foundation work, doing the research before we just jump into design? Another thing is sometimes UX will give suggestions based on our research and finding what is the best way to approach something, but sometimes those suggestions aren't really considered. People who have decision-making power already have in mind exactly what they want, and then they kind of just want to go with that rather than the UX suggestion. It's definitely a balance of communicating and knowing when to compromise or when to fight for it more. I see it more of a communicating, negotiating practice for me. The next question is, do you remember what your job hunting process was like? I think I try to wipe that from my memories. I think job hunting is definitely one of the hardest part about transitioning into UX design, or I guess any career transition, the initial job hunt, because you're gonna face a lot of obstacles. There's gonna be a lot of people who will give you chances and will talk to you and interview you, but at the same time, there is a disadvantage of not having that X number of experience as a UX designer. So there is a lot of fight to get over that hump. It's definitely frustrating, nerve-wracking, because you're worrying about your survival. At the same time, it's really exciting too, because you know that there is going to be something better for you in the future. And I think when I find a company that I'm really passionate about, mostly in terms of their product or their value, I get very excited and overly invested, and I will try really hard to be noticed. In total, I spent about a month job hunting right after my General Assembly bootcamp. And then when I was at Home Depot, my apprenticeship, I spent about a month and a half job hunting on the side. My approach to job hunting is quality over quantity. I definitely focused a lot of my energy on companies that really resonated with me, their product or their value, as I mentioned earlier. And then I'll do a ton of research and try to connect with people who already work there. Because I'm also desperate at the time that I do really need a UX design job to just get myself in the door, put my foot in the door. Besides the few selected ones that I spent a lot of energy on, I also mass applied to ones that that I was only slightly interested in. At the same time, I definitely spent a lot of time working on my portfolio because I think you have to make sure that you're not just job hunting. You have to make sure that you have works to show for. I only spent about like a month where I wasn't working and doing job hunting full-time. But if that period lasts longer, I think it's definitely good to make sure you pick up side projects or do like fake personal projects to make sure that you have something on your portfolio and case study to show for when you do apply for your job application as well as for your interviews. At one point, I was actually like super obsessed with job hunting. It was like taking over my life, and I was getting like rejection emails after rejection emails after rejection emails, and I think it was taking a toll on me. I was feeling like I wasn't doing enough or I'm just doing something wrong. Yeah, no matter how many jobs I applied for or how much I improved on certain things at the time, I feel like it was never enough and I needed to work harder, work more, work harder, work more. And one of my best friends had to like snap me out of it and tell me to like chill the F out, because she was like, Heebie, you are doing enough. Take a break and don't be so hard on yourself. That was a wake-up call for me. I had to reevaluate and start tracking better at what jobs I'm applying. And I feel like by looking at exactly what jobs you're applying and have a set goal of how many you want to hit per week will make you feel like there's progress. I just gave myself like, I think 3 to 5 applications to apply for every week. And once I hit that number, I am not gonna look at Glassdoor, I'm not gonna look at LinkedIn, I'm not gonna look at any job listing sites at all. But that was really helpful. So I think one tip I would give to anyone that's going through the job hunting process is to remember to be gentle with yourself and take a break and have set goals so that you can feel like you achieved something. In summary, the job hunting process, especially the first time around, is really challenging. But just remember to keep trying, learn from your experiences. Whenever you can, try to ask for feedback. So if you get an interview and you end up not making the cut, try to reach out and ask for feedbacks. And then next time you can use that, like those points to improve and then be a better candidate for your next job. And I would say try not to take rejections personally because that will only make things harder. And lastly, remember to take care of yourself. Make sure you take breaks. Find someone who's going through the same thing as you and chat with them, share your experiences. In the end, you will find and convince someone to take a chance on you. The question is, how did you get yourself to stand out? I kind of mentioned that earlier, but I think it's super important to make your portfolio stand out. Make sure you're doing something different from your peers that are graduating from bootcamp or other junior designers, because that will help with the job searching process. And also make sure your case studies are really good. And honestly, I still am trying to figure that out and working on that too. I don't have all the answers, but at least try your best. Another big thing is to make sure your portfolio really reflects who you are as a person. Because in the end, what really makes you stand out is to be uniquely you. I know that sounds super cliche, but super cliche, but that really is, because I've like seen a lot of case study or portfolios lately because I'm trying to redo mine, and the ones that I remember the most are the ones that did something a little bit different and they really showed their personality through their portfolio. And so that's kind of what I'm trying to do right now, which is why I'm kind of busy. In your portfolio or during the job application process, make sure you stand out by communicating really well. I think communication skill is very highly valued for a UX designer, product designer, because you have to work collaboratively with a lot of people. You have to explain your design, you have to explain why we should do things a certain way, and you have to deliver your research. It's just a lot of communication. So a lot of companies really value communication skills. You can showcase that by, communicating well with your recruiter, send messages to people that working at the company they're interested in, and also writing an awesome cover letter. Cover letter takes forever to write, but if you're really invested in the company and you really want to work there, definitely spend time and tailor a very personalized cover letter to the company, and that will help you get noticed more. The next question is about money. Question is, how did you pay your bills during the time that you were at General Assembly? So I was at General Assembly last year summer, and I was very meticulous in budgeting. So the course itself was 14K, and I didn't want to take any loans for the course through their program because I just didn't want to pay that interest. Luckily, I was talking to my mom about this and going through career change and stuff. I asked her if I can borrow 10K to help me with the tuition fee. And so she lent me that money. So 10K went straight to part of the 14K. And then I put in 4K myself at the time. So I paid it all at once. And then with the leftover money that I had, I gave myself 6 months to live on that money. And so that means I have to find a job within 6 months. And the General Assembly course is 3 months. So in reality, I only had 3 months to make sure I landed on a job, or else all my money in my bank account would be depleted. What I did was I was super meticulous in my budgeting. I took out all of my fixed costs, so like my rent and internet and things that I have to pay for, and then see how much money that is left over, and which is like my variable cost, and I spread that across 6 months. And I kind of lived on that budget like very religiously. I did not eat out much. I was doing all grocery shopping and cooking at home, and I didn't really hang out with my friends that much either. Or if I do hang out with them, I try to do activities that are like budget friendly, like going to the park or something. I would say I'm definitely lucky that my mom was willing to lend me that 10K, which I paid off last month, exactly a year after she lent me the money. That's definitely a milestone for me. Going back to the fact that I'm fortunate that my mom was willing to lend me the money, and that I don't have dependents that I need to take care of, like kids or pets and other like financial obligation, like a mortgage or things like that. I just had to pay rent. So that's how I did it. I don't recommend you guys to like do it my way. Leaving only 3 months time to find a job for myself is not the best idea. A lot of people didn't find a job within 3 months. I did it this way mainly because I like to live life on the edge a little bit. I think I have a higher tolerance level for risk, but it really forces me to make sure I have a job in like 6 months after I quit my previous job. So it was like a driving force to make sure that I find a job very soon. Next question is, what was the biggest challenge and how did you overcome it? So the biggest challenge is actually just getting the interview. A lot of times I get kicked out because my number of years of experience as a UX designer is like technically at the time under 1 year. And you know, the recruiters and the automatic resume readers are just doing their job. They're just weeding people out and narrowing the list of people that they invest time in. So I don't blame them, but the hardest part is to convince others that your previous professional experience, so for me it was like 3 years of professional experience, have a lot of things that are transferable for UX design. And how do I overcome it? I think the only way to overcome it is by building personal connections. So reach out to people on LinkedIn or Twitter, whatever it is. Put yourself out there, make connection with people, and that connection is super important because people are more willing to give you a chance if they know who you are. And by talking to you and showing them your character and your work ethic, you build a trust. So next question, if the market was saturated during the time when you transition, would you still have done it? That's a really good question because I think that's probably a lot of the concern for people who are considering UX right now. And my answer to that is yes, definitely yes. I would say the market was kind of saturated already when I decided to transition into UX design, but I was more focused when I was making that career change. In my previous video, I mentioned that I wanted a job that allows me to be creative, solve problems, and make meaningful impact. And UX design fits all of those criteria. So I didn't really think about like the market as much. I don't think it would affect my decision in the end, but I think it depends on everyone's like risk level. Also, my financial situation allowed me to take that risk too. I don't have financial obligations, I don't have kids, I don't have pets. So yeah, in conclusion, I have the privilege because of my situation to take on that risk and not worry about external factors or the market as much and focus completely on myself, which I did. Maybe I'm naive, but my thought is if it's something that I'm passionate about and I think that I have strengths to fit this job, if I work really hard and just try my best, I think I'll definitely have a successful career as a UX designer. Another point that I want to make is that even if you think the market is very competitive in your area, one great thing about UX design is that there's a lot of remote job around the world. So your market isn't really confined to just your area. If you're open to remote working, essentially you can look at jobs to be a UX designer anywhere in the world. The next question is, do you think boot camps help someone fully transition into UX design? I would say yes and no, or not 100% yes. I think boot camps are helpful in building foundation and giving you opportunities to work on case studies and then eventually have those case studies be on your portfolio to show case your UX work. But bootcamp is just a starting point. The harder you work during your time at bootcamp will better prepare you for when you're ready to look for a job. And I think it shouldn't stop there. So after the bootcamp, it's still very important to continually improve our design skills, continue to learn new things about design. That's what will really differentiate you from others, is your energy to continually to learn. All right, last question. Would you recommend a bootcamp? I get that question a lot actually, and I would say my answer to that is it depends. I don't believe bootcamp is the only way. The reason I went for a bootcamp is my degree is in accounting. I worked as 3 years as a tax consultant, so going to UX design is a complete switch for me. There's not a lot of technical skills that I can transfer over, so I needed to do something more immersive and dramatic. But if you already work in this kind of related field, like if you're a graphic designer, web designer, or something that's a little bit more related to design on a technical sense, I think there's a lot of resources that you can find online to learn about the UX process and learning about UX user-centric design and focusing on usability of your design. I think you just need to hone in on skills that will help you become a UX designer on top of the skills that you already have. If you're thinking of going to UX design without doing bootcamp, I would say the best way to learn is by doing like fake projects or redesigning an existing app. That's how the bootcamps are structured. You're learning by doing something. You don't need to know all the answers before you start designing. The important part is to just try, design something, get some feedback, and then work on it, improve. That's all the questions that I have. I hope these my answers are helpful to you. Again, these are just from my perspective, my experience. And if you're a UX designer, feel free to share what your experience has been like in the comment section below. And I am actually pretty active in answering UX design questions for people who are interested in UX design. So also jot down questions that you have, and I will answer them when I find time to answer them. Thanks for watching. Bye!